Prosecutors are expected to try to prove that Ibarra hit Riley on the head, choked her, and then intended to sexually assault her. They have not chosen to seek the death penalty, but are seeking a life sentence without the possibility of parole. So let's bring in immigration attorney and supervising attorney at Modern Law Group, Deron Smallcomb, to break this down for us. Welcome to Morning on MeritTV.
Thanks for having me.
Okay, let's talk about the fact that what she just mentioned, he waived his right to a jury trial. Why make this decision to allow a judge to decide your fate?
I think it's a call that's been criticized a lot, but I do see some of the logic behind it. We have some issues here that need to be resolved as a matter of law, not a matter of emotion. This is going to be one of the largest trials that we're going to see on a national level for some time. And there's a lot of emotion behind it. It's not just Mr. Ibarra that's on trial. It's the immigration system in general that allowed this to happen, that caused the death of Laken Riley. When you get a jury involved, you have 6 to 12 people that need to unanimously decide on somebody's guilt, right, before they can be convicted. You only need one person to not decide that. Whereas with a judge on a bench type trial, then that's going to be an expedited process where just the judge alone is going to make that decision. And when the judge makes a decision, you have more of a matter of law and a matter of fact being on trial at that time. So rather than explain to the jury why some things may or may not be allowed into the trial, the judge knows these questions as a matter of law. That's what his job is. And he could look at certain things that started from the beginning that may affect what evidence is allowed into the trial. For example, there's a theory in the law that's called fruit of the poisonous tree, right? So there's a few questions here. Was he stopped appropriately? Was his DNA taken appropriately? Was his cell phone taken appropriately? Now, these 3 items led to additional evidence that is why he's on trial today. If any of these 3 were obtained unlawfully, then all of the fruits of this poisonous tree will not be admissible in court. Therefore, they may not have enough to convict based on that.
So do you think that he chose the court trial with the judge because of these technical issues, or do you think it's because there's so much emotion right now about this case? There's so much political, and also public opinion about this, that he was worried that the 12 people or the 6 people on the jury would not even be able to see the law. They would just vote on emotion.
Absolutely. I think that's a very genuine concern that they would have from the defense standpoint is people are angry about this. People are angry at the whole system. I mean, Laken Riley is not the first, and unfortunately, she won't be the last. We have so many people that have been unvetted and brought into this country that more events like this are going to occur, and it's terrible. It's a tragedy. So what's on trial? Is it Mr. Ibarra that's on trial? Is it the immigration system that's on trial? And the jury is going to be charged about it. We just had the election last week. 2 of the most important issues were the economy and immigration, right? And so here we have an indictment against the immigration system. And I think that will bleed over into the case. The thing is, though, once you have a jury convict you, it's hard to appeal because the jury could have convicted you on any number of issues. It's their discretion to do so, and then it's a little bit more difficult to appeal. When a judge convicts you, right, it has to be on certain criteria. These are appealable, right? You could say, the judge messed up. He shouldn't have allowed that DNA evidence in, or the judge messed up. That stop was not lawful. That allowed that led to his arrest, and those are appealable as a matter of law. And quite frankly, the judge might find that one of those issues is a problem, and the trial would be declared a mistrial, and it would be tough to try him over again.
You mentioned before about the national debate during the election, the Biden administration policies. Ibarra was allowed to illegally enter the U.S. in 2022 in El Paso, Texas. So how much of that would you focus on in this case? And then how much of the defense do you believe is going to try to ignore that, the fact that he shouldn't have been over here illegally? How much of that weighs in to this case?
Well, with the bench trial, I don't think it weighs in that much. If it were a jury trial, it would be one of the primary topics of discussion. Yeah. Absolutely, because the emotional aspect. Here, did it matter how he entered? He murdered a young woman, right? At least that's what he's accused of. And so that's what's on trial, not the Biden administration's immigration policy, which, quite frankly, allowed this to happen.
Yeah, probably a smart move long-term for him anyways in the outcome of his case. Deron Smallcomb, thank you so much for your insight here.
Thank you.
Setting us up. We appreciate it.